The omnivorous book club of Toronto had been born, like many half-serious revolutions, out of impatience at a lackluster potluck. 6 years earlier, Abigail Ross had announced that if people wanted to discuss books about the world, they might as well taste the world while they were at it. Since then, the Club 10 core members and an ever-changing halo of drop-in shard migrated each month to a different neighborhood restaurant. Uyghur Lachman on College, Guatemalan Pepian in Little Portugal, Mapuche stew in Scarberry. Nobody leaves hungry in mind or stomach, their slogan ran, and their WhatsApp group was labeled Page Devourers and Plate Lickers. On a damp November Saturday, Abigail's message popped up. Got us a table for 10 at 7 p.m. next Thursday. Mushtaq's Kashmiri on Gerard. Selected book, The Night Inside by Amani Hastings. Theme, Trust No One. Remember, we actually talk about the book before dessert, people. The Night Inside was Hastings' breakout thriller, set during an ice storm in a fictionalized Hamilton. It opened with a disappeared chef, whose only trace was a red bookmark floating in a bowl of soup. For a group that adored edible metaphors, the choice felt predestined. Thursday arrived in slanted sleet. Mushtaq's glowed amber behind steamed-up windows, the haze punctured by twin lanterns that flickered like coals. Inside, cumin and cardamom drifted above a dozen small tables draped in rose-mettered vinyl. The club trickled in. Abigail, nutrient-dense in wool and opinions, Marcel, self-appointed mixologist and habitual contrarian. Priya, doctoral candidate in urban folklore. Jonah, high school teacher with an alarming neck scarf collection. Wen and Ellis, married photographers who documented everything but each other's bad moods. Lena, software developer whose default expression suggested she'd already finished the conversation. Hardeep, quiet accountant, often mistaken for shy when he was simply compiling mental spreadsheets. Roxanne, their newest member, a botanist mesmerized by poisons and pollens. And Ted, whose attendance was unpredictable yet welcomed. He'd missed 3 months while trekking across Iceland reading sagas aloud to sheep. Total? 10. Table? Long and narrow, forcing conversation to ricochet in waves. In the open kitchen, a lone figure in an embroidered cap stirred 2 stainless steel cauldrons. That, they assumed, was Chef Mushtaq. A college-age server named Reza brought menus that read more like diary. This recipe belonged to my grandmother, who taught me to wait for the rice to sigh. Water glasses fogged, jackets steamed dry draped over chairbacks. We should order the yakni first, Abigail advised. Soup warms the debate muscles. They agreed on a parade: pink turnip pickles, lotus root fritters, saffron lamb, chilies stuffed with goat cheese, and a communal cauldron of yakni Kashmiri broth, scented with fennel and dried mint. As Reza shuffled away, books were unsheathed, some hardcovers, some dog-eared paperbacks. The club never imposed a format, only that each member arrive with marginalia prepared. Priya, who straddled Abigail and Marcel on the bench, teased, "If you didn't underline at least one unreliable narrator, you're expelled." Jonah retorted, "The narrator isn't the problem, it's the reader." "We're all conspirators by omission." Abigail tapped her spoon against her glass like a gavel. "Save it for post-appetizer. And remember our ritual." "Let's go clockwise. 1 sentence of expectation about the evening," Roxanne began, brushing cinnamon-colored curls from her eyes. "I expect to finish the night knowing who in this room I can trust in a blackout." Hardeep, "I expect to discover that my accountant's brain underestimates suspense." Wen, "I expect a photo of steam that looks like a ghost and sells for actual money." Ellis, "I expect to gain enough Tapper-style context for a portfolio caption." Marcel, "I expect to be disappointed by both literature and humanity, but at least the chutney will console me." Lena, "I expect the villain is never who you think, except when it's exactly who you think." Jonah, "I expect my scarf will smell of broth for a week, and I won't mind." Priya, "I expect to map the mythological bones under Hastings' plot." Abigail. I expect dessert. Everything else is footnotes. Ted, arriving last as usual, shrugged off a parka, still snow-dusted. I expect we're already in the sequel. Everyone laughed. The evening pulsed open. The appetizers dissolved barriers. Lotus root fritters sparked debate about texture metaphors. Crunch like freshly typed keys, Ella suggested. The pickled turnips were fuchsia ! Roxanne declared. They remained happily omnivorous in description as much as ingestion. At 7:42, Reza balanced the yakni cauldron onto a cork mat in the table's centre. Chef says to stir bottom up, he instructed before retreating. Steam spiraled, carrying whispers of cloves and marrow. Abigail wrapped the ladle handle in a napkin and plunged deep, lifting soup to fill porcelain bowls, sliding them down the table like rooks on a chessboard. It was Marcel who noticed first. Ah, Abio hold up. He pointed into the third bowl, Jonah's. Something scarlet bobbed amid pale broth, too rigid to be tomato skin. Abigail fished it out with the ladle's convex side. The object was a ribboned rectangle, laminated against soaking. Plain but for gold-embossed letters. The night inside. A. Hastings. A bookstore's promotional bookmark. For a tick of silence, only the restaurant's ventilation hummed. Someone's cute, Lena said, though her mouth had thinned. Abigail examined the cauldron. Anyone pranking? Reza. The server, summoned, shook his head once, eyes big. I just carried it. Ted rose to glance into the open kitchen. The burners glowed unattended. Ladles lay idle across a cutting board. No chef. Weird, Ted muttered. He tapped the service bell. No answer. Meanwhile, the dining room's other patrons, 2 young couples and an elderly man with headphones, continued eating, oblivious to any drama. The book club members traded half smiles that tried to be reassuring. After all, chefs did emerge, vanish, and smoke out back. Pryor angled her phone to record. If reality starts plagiarizing fiction, we need documentation. Marcel whispered, Let's not escalate based on a marketing bookmark. Could have slipped from someone's purse. But inside the cauldron? Roxanne countered. That's intentional theatre. More minutes seeped by. Soup cooled. Ellie's camera clicked. Abigail inhaled to declare a rational pause. But then Reza returned, white as a receipt. Chef is gone. Kitchen door at the back is open to the alley. His coat still on hook. The club stilled, each aware that the novel they'd read began with an identical scene. In Hastings' story, the vanished chef was later found dead, and the red bookmark proved cipher to a kidnapping ring. Fear didn't clamp down at once. Toronto is seasoned with oddities, pop-up performances, escape rooms, guerrilla art. The club's first impulse was to read the event as immersive homage. Amani Hastings lives in Toronto. Maybe she partnered with Mushtaq for publicity. Then where's Mushtaq? Hardeep reasoned. He'd still need to re-enter for the curtain call. Reza wiped his palms on his apron. He would tell me. He's my uncle. He is not, how you say, flash mob person. He cooks. The familial connection sharpened the room's anxiety. Abigail slid into facilitator mode. Her profession conflict resolution consultant surfaced like a shield. Okay, she said calmly. First, Reza, have you phoned your uncle? Yes, go straight voicemail. Second, we check the alley and restroom. Ted, you good? Ted nodded, heading down the corridor with Reza. The others formed a semicircle by the cauldron, as though guarding evidence. Priya typed notes into a document labelled Fieldwork Mushtaq. Should we call the police? Wen asked. Abigail bit her lip. In the book, the cops are incompetent. Marcel snorted. That's fiction. Real police will at least file a report. But if this is performance art, imagine the embarrassment, Ellis countered, though his voice shook. Roxanne lifted the laminated bookmark with tweezers from her purse. She carried them for specimen collecting. No fingerprints yet, she observed. Her tone was clinical, force allowing her not to look scared. The back of the bookmark bore an inscription in pen. Taste the truth before it cools. Priya photographed it. That's not Hastings' handwriting. I saw her signing books at word on the street, Hardeep, rarely voluble, murmured. Taste the truth. Maybe we're supposed to drink the soup? Like Alice in Wonderland's potion? Jonah asked. Not happening until I know what's in it. Marcel sipped a spoonful. Everyone stared. He shrugged. Delicious. Little heavy on the fennel. Ted and Reza returned. Shoes wet. Alley's empty, Ted reported. Snow unbroken except boot prints that might be earlier delivery. Washroom's clear, Reza whispered. We should close restaurant. But I don't have key to front door. Uncle keeps. The dining room's other patrons were requesting coffee. They hadn't noticed the tension. Abigail acted. We'll help. Clear them out. Then, focus, Jonah. Lena, tell. The couples where's a gas leak in kitchen count their meals. As Jonah and Lena approached patrons with apologetic smiles, the elderly headphone man removed one bud, eavesdropping. He clicked his tongue and resumed eating. Within 15 minutes, the couples were hustled into the sleet, take-out boxes in hand. The headphone man resisted until Marcel offered him free rice pudding tomorrow. He relented, muttering that the city had gone to hell. Reza locked the door with the manual bolt, though it would not resist serious intrusion. Now only the book club remained. The room felt both cavernous and claustrophobic. We need to decide. Call 911 or investigate ourselves, Lena said. Priya waved her phone. Already dialed the non-emergency number. They promise a patrol car when available. So we have time. Marcel, elevated by mystery and saffron fumes, proposed. Let's finish the soup. Maybe there's another clue at the bottom. Abigail studied Reza. Would that offend any customs? Reza shook his head. It would offend my uncle if you wasted it. So 10 bowls were portioned. Conversation dwindled to clinks and slurps. Everyone listened for hidden notes. Anai's bitterness, metallic tang, anything off. Nothing but warm comfort which, under circumstances, felt obscene. When the cauldron was near empty, Ted's spoon scraped something harder than bone. He lifted a small object, a USB drive the color of jade. One whistled low. The drive was dry, vacuum-sealed in plastic. On its label printed, "For the Omnivores Book Club." Abigail's eyes flared. Somebody knows us. But that's not impossible, Ellis said. We post our schedule publicly on Instagram. Still creepy, Roxanne answered. They gathered around Abigail's laptop. She always carried one for note-taking. She plugged the drive in, ignoring Marcel's IT warning about viruses. A single PDF awaited. Recipient _4_truth page PRU. Priya opened it. 3 pages appeared, handwritten scans. Page 1 began with ingredients, sunlight, regret, saffron, silence, then slid into instructions. Simmer secrets until reduced by half. Serve with alibi. At the bottom, if you want mushtak back, follow the recipe, clock is boiling, bookmark is time. Page 2 listed coordinates. Page 3 was an image, a red bookmark half dipped in soup, time pepped. 8:45 p.m., 3/4 of an hour from now. The club glanced at the wall clock. 8:02. Skepticism jousted with adrenaline. Could be prank plus scavenger hunt, Ted offered. We play along, find Mushtaq posing with roses. Reza's voice cracked. My uncle is 72 with arthritis. Someone took him. Abigail pondered. Even if staged, we must confirm safety. She scanned coordinates on her phone, a location by the Portlands, near the abandoned Hearn generating station. That's 7K away, Lena calculated. In this weather, 20 minutes by cars if we lift. Or 15 if Marcel drives like usual, Ellis joked weakly. Marcel patted coat pocket. Keys ready. Jonah objected. We're civilians. This is how horror movies start, Priya countered. But we're also the only ones who know context. Police won't mobilize on word of a bookmark. Hardeep surprised everyone. We go, but we leave a note here for authorities, just in case. They agreed. Wen typed on a receipt. Omnivorous Book Club investigated Mushtaq's disappearance 2010, proceeding to coordinates. Call Abigail Ross 416 555. Reza placed the note on the cauldron. He grabbed a cleaver from a utensil jar and tucked it under his coat. No one teased him. Dukas Marcel's aging Volvo wagon and Lenin-era minivan, borrowed by Ted's, skidded through snow slush down Lakeshore Boulevard. Streetlights blurred into amber commas. Inside Marcel's wagon rode Abigail, Reza, Priya, and Lena. In Ted's minivan, the rest hunched near foggy glass. They kept group chat audio open, mapping each other's progress. As they neared the Portlands, the city's buzz thinned into industrial hush. Warehouses hunched like sleeping beasts. The coordinates pointed to a side lot beside the Hearn answer. A colossal power plant, now occasional site of art exhibitions and furtive raves. A chain-link gate sagged open. Fresh tire tracks ribbed the snow. Each member tasted dread differently. Metallic in Marcel's mouth, floral to Roxanne, numeric to Hardeep. They parked nose to tail, headlights slicing the gloom. Ellis's camera flashed automatically. He disabled it, muttering apologies to Dark. They fanned out. Reza between Abigail and Ted, cleaver glinting. The recipe's second line instructing, "Follow the steam," appeared. Instead, a faint curry aroma drifted on window ghost of Mushtaq's kitchen. Priya spotted a red ribbon flicking on fence wire. "Bookmark, too," she pointed. They advanced. Beyond the fence lay a shipping container painted turquoise. Its padlock stood open. Abigail inhaled, pressed the door, and it yawned like a jaw. Inside, a makeshift dining table set for 11, porcelain bowls waiting. In the center, a portable gas burner held a small pot of simmering yakhni. A note propped against the ladle, "Taste again." Truths layered like onion skins. Beside the pot, a wooden crate. Inside it, Chef Mushtaq, bound but sitting upright, eyes alert above a gag fashioned from checkered towel. He was alive. Reza cried out, rushing forward. Mushtaq's gaze darted, urgent. Roxanne cut plastic ties with a pocket knife, while Hardeep untied gag. Mushtaq rasped, "Stop! Do not taste." They froze. Mushtaq flexed numb fingers. "They poisoned." "Who?" Abigail pressed. He shook his head. "Didn't see. Came in back door. Said book people must swallow their words." Roxanne sniffed pot. "Smells normal, but many toxins are odorless." Lena's eyes widened. "Book people? Could someone hold a grudge against us?" Wen answered, "We write critical Goodreads reviews, but homicide seems excessive." Marcel turned to Mushtaq. "Did they say anything else? Why you?" "They needed a cook. They forced me to make soup, then left me with it, locked." Priya examined the pot. A third bookmark floated, bearing new text. "The final sentence is fatal." Jonah exhaled shakily. In the novel, the killer poisons the second soup with aconite. Roxanne's botanist heart thudded. "Aconitum napellus monkshood." Bitter taste, numbing lips within minutes. Lethal dosage tiny. All gazes pivoted to Marcel, who earlier had tasted the first broth. He shrugged, but color drained from cheeks. "I'm fine," he said, though his tongue felt prickly, perhaps psychosomatic. Roxanne did flashlight exam. No bluish lips yet. Reza hugged his uncle. "We call police now. No more detective." Mushtaq agreed. "Take soup for evidence, yes." Abigail nodded. They had achieved goal. Find Mushtaq alive. Further adventure risked lives. Yet questions pulsed. Who orchestrated? Why target them? The PDF's recipe for truth still unsolved. Back at Mushchuk's restaurant an hour later, paramedics checked Mushchuk and Marcel, both pronounced healthy. Initial field test of soup turned positive for digitoxin, cardiac glycoside derived from foxglove. Rapid treatment saved them from needing it. Uniformed officers took statements, eyebrows climbing with each bookmark detail. Sergeant Pacheco promised detectives would scour surveillance. As the night thinned toward 1 a.m., the club clustered at their long table again, restaurants now neon-lit with police lamps. Cups of chai replaced wine. Exhaustion tarnished adrenaline into reflective quiet. "I hate that we're characters now," Lena confessed. "Reading thrillers was safer." Abigail rubbed eyes. "We still have our ritual to close the meeting, one sentence of discovery." They managed weary smiles. Roxanne began. "I discovered poison smells like nothing, but courage smells like cardamom." Hardeep. "I discovered spreadsheets can't predict people." When? "I discovered art wants to happen, even to us." Ellis. "I discovered I can take blurry photos of fear and call it style." Marcel, voice husky. "I discovered my default expression is terror in low light." Jonah. "I discovered my scarf can double as tourniquet." Priya. "I discovered folklore is breathing beside us, writing us." Razor. Though no member offered shyly, "I discovered book people are good people." Mushtaq, claiming Abigail's seat. "I discovered the world still has recipes to learn." Last, Abigail. "I discovered that turning pages together is safer than alone." They clinked chai cups. No one mentioned cancelling next month. In fact, Ted whispered about an Eritrean spot in Kensington. The omnivorous appetite for food, stories, and now it seemed mystery was not so easily quenched. Outside, sleet thickened into snow, layering streets, covering tracks, including perhaps those of whoever had written the recipe, and stirred danger into a simple pot of soup. Somewhere in Toronto, a person closed a notebook, slipped a red bookmark between blank pages, and waited for the next course,